Kyle, there's never a non-hockey day in this city. How do you approach the summer, given the challenges of the cap, given who you've got to get under contract to remain competitive and move up a notch possibly next season?
Well, it's disappointing that the summer is going to be this long. Just as our family, we were talking yesterday, it's the first time in 7 years, I think, with whatever the team I was most primarily involved with, that we've been done at the first round. So that part's certainly disappointing, not a feeling we want to get used to. I think everyone in the room knows the business that we have to tend to over the summer and how imperative it is to continue on the growth and development of our program, Paul. So we'll get to that right away here. And we've got to make some more strides in terms of adding to our prospect pool again. The development of our existing prospects, and a lot of that will be tied up here in the Marlies playoff run, and get ready to roll from there and get ready for the draft. I've often said to our scouts that this year that the drafting part, when we were picking 1, 4, 8 in those picks, those are the picks you have to, there's no room for error there. But the way that we can sustain this and keep it moving forward is by when we don't have a first and we're picking in the second, or we were picking late in the first, that we can make hay. And so that'll be our focus here in the next couple months for sure, in addition to the contracts.
Yeah, in regards to William Nylander, how did his contract negotiations affect the season that he had, and how will that affect how you go about re-signing Mitch?
Well, I think frankly speaking, Mike, and we've talked about the Nylander situation here at length. I think the blame for the situation going that far has to go to me, and I don't think it set William up to have a good season, and I accept that. Looking back on it and how we handle our business and go about it, I think in the end, if you're looking to assign the blame to someone, it has to be to me, because we didn't get it done to start the season. We didn't get it done for training camp. We didn't get it done to start the season. We didn't get it done until there was 3 minutes left or whatever there was left, and it's not acceptable. It didn't set William up to have success, and as I said, the other contracts are going to be priority one. I can't use the excuse of I didn't start until May. I've had a full runway with the rest of them, so. We have to do good contracts for the organization and for the marketplace, and we'll get right to that. But when you're looking to assign blame, it should go to me and me alone.
Kyle, Naz has missed, 8 games in the last 2 playoffs, suspension-wise. Can you trust him moving forward to not see red in those critical moments?
I think when we talk to him, his temperance is a major point. He's an excellent player for us and brings an element that we don't have in abundance, and that, yes, he likes to defend his teammates and he plays very hard and everything of that nature, but we need him to be available. And as you see, the suspension goes from 3 games last year to 5 games, and I don't think if he continues with that sort of behavior, the suspensions are not going to decrease, and he needs to find that balance between playing extremely hard and defending his teammates and being available to the group. And I don't think anybody feels worse about it than he does. I just saw his comments before he came in there. So it's a major challenge for him, character-wise, and talking to him. I think with all he brings and how important he is to our group, we need to help him as well. It's not just on him. We need to do everything we can to make sure that he keeps himself available, and we'll do that.
Kyle, do you expect negotiations with Marner's people to be difficult, given that a lot of us think, and the expectation is that he's going to be looking for quote-unquote Austin Matthews money?
I think, I don't know how they're going to go for sure. Terry, we were talking to Darren Ferris at the beginning of the season. I'll call Darren here in the coming day or so and begin to see where he's at and how he would like it to proceed and how Mitch and his family would like it to proceed. But listen, Mitch has had an excellent season. He's a massive, massive part of everything that we're doing here, both in terms of his talent and ability, which is shown to be among the best in the league, and in terms of the joy and the leadership that he brings to the club each day. So it's priority one for us, and we'll get right to it.
Were you satisfied with the coaching in Game 7?
Well, I think in Game 7, I think with anything, when you're evaluating a micro event, I think you start to get in trouble when you're running a franchise. And I look at, I know everyone would like me to give a condemnation or a massive vote of support for one single game, but I think when you have a 89 game season and a years long track record, I think it's best when making the decisions of the organization to focus on that. And I thought our coaching staff did a good job this year with our group in Game 7 of the series. I mean, I thought we didn't start the way we started fine. We allowed the goals, and then I thought we played really well for the middle of the game. And then the third period, we couldn't gain any traction. And I think that falls on everybody, starting with me and not the coaching staff, not the players.
What is your relationship with Mike like? Is the job secure? Are you comfortable with his coaching style and how he deploys players, all that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean, Mike and I talk every day, sometimes longer than each of us wish, I would imagine. But, you know, we have an ongoing discussion every day, and whenever anything happens, like we didn't reach our expectation this year. There's a lot of teams in the league that didn't, but we can only focus on us and our situation here, and we didn't reach the expectation I think we set out at the beginning of the season. I mean, we had 100 points, and we went to Game 7 against the Bruins in the first round. So it's tough to say that it was tangible progress. I think anyone watching the series would say we played a lot better in this series than the team did the year before. But we have to continue to improve everything that we do. It starts with me improving the job that I do, contracts, signing players, drafting players, our development system, every single thing of our organization. And it's up to me to work with Mike to continue to have him improve and with his staff improve. And I think that's one of the best parts about working here is that there's not anybody staunch in their stance that what we're doing is great and we can't change it. It's, you know, we know we have to improve and get better, and that's the exciting part of it.
So Kyle, in relation to that, can you kind of be sure, or are you decided that Mike will definitely be a part of this team next year, and that Naz will definitely be a part of this team next year?
I think for the way that I look at that, Bruce, is that, you know, Shanny has to decide on me first and do an evaluation of me, which I think any organization would be best to do. And then once that's done, we evaluate everybody. And we could win the Stanley Cup, and it would be the same discussion of evaluating where we're at, and are we content, and are we moving in the right direction. So I think with how fluid the situation is, I wouldn't give any guarantee to anybody in our whole organization, starting with me. And you know, we'll do what we think is best, and we'll let you know when we know. But that's my expectation.
If you're blaming yourself for the Nylander thing, what could you have done differently to avoid that?
I think, you know, I think when I look back on it, Chris, and I evaluated, I think starting the discussion earlier with Lewis, we talked first at the draft, which meant that was 40 days or so from the time I got, maybe less than that, a month, call it, before we had a discussion about the situation, and then not being more adamant that they get back to us in the summer quicker, and letting, you know, just kind of saying, it'll all sort itself out, and resigning ourselves to that. And it's a lesson learned from my end of it, but I think that's what I would do differently, is meet with them sooner and then stay on them more, rather than just, you know, wait for them to get back to us and hope it was going to bridge the difference, and ends up going to December 1st, but just before 5 o'clock, unfortunately.
As a follow-up, how important is it to get Mitch's deal done by July 1st?
Well, I think it's imperative for all the other facets of our team. So with Mitch, as I've said, is priority one. So without an answer on Mitch, we're going to kind of be at a stalemate, right? So it is a top priority, because we're not going to jump around and chew up our cap space that we may need for Mitch with fringe signings either, right? And so it's important now. We just have to get to work on it and get it done.
Kyle, what's the situation with Jake Gardiner? Can you maybe expand a bit about your summer plans in terms of whatever, World Championships, that kind of thing?
World Championships for Oh, okay. With Jake, I think first off, it's, you know, Jake, to me, I remember, as I told him this morning, when I first came here, I knew his relationship with, I don't want to say the media, but I think the view of him was so polarizing. Some people thought he was great. Other people thought, you know, we shouldn't sign him. And I remember when I first started, Dave Nonis was the GM. We were talking about a one-year deal, and I was in the Sioux. I didn't watch the Toronto Maple Leafs every game, but I thought Jake was good and had potential. And I think that one of the things that is a bit sad for me, particularly about Jake, is Jake has been a driving force in having this team from 2014, the first day, that walking in here to where it is now, it's night and day difference. And I know everyone's disappointed today, but from where the team was then to where it is now is night and day difference. And there have been 3 players that have been here that whole time, and Jake is one of them. And I think as I told him today, his contributions and what his legacy is with the Toronto Maple Leafs, people try to tie it to small, tiny events like the question earlier about Game 7 and what does this mean and that mean. Jake has been such a huge part of turning this franchise around, and I don't think one game or a series of games should judge that. And I think in time, the way that people view Jake will be so positive, and people will realize the contributions that he's had to the group. When it comes to his status, it goes back to Chris's question of how much room we're going to have once we get through the situation with Mitch, and then we'll be in touch with his people. World Championships, I'll try and go for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One quick follow-up. Are other coaching staff, Team Canada, are they facilitating their requests through you about Leafs that might go?
Yeah, we've had the requests from Canada. We've had requests from Russia, Slovakia. I assume there will be more. It seems that for whatever reason, the teams are going directly to the players these days. I've known my experience with Lou, that would have been frowned upon, but. So the players are informing us more about it than we're informing them. The Canada people have come directly to us as of Russia and Slovakia, but the rest seem to be going to the players.
Kyle, are you today as confident in your vision for the team, skills driven, as you were earlier, or has your conviction been shaken at all by what you saw in the playoffs and about missing certain elements, maybe?
I don't think so, Rosie. I think what I saw in the playoffs was, I think if you'd have asked after Game 2, when they obviously had a certain way they wanted to play that game, and they handled us that game pretty easily. And then as the series went on, after Game 5, I thought we played so well in Game 5 going into their building, and it was sort of, if there's any game throughout the year that sort of symbolizes the way that I would like to see our team play consistently, would be Game 5. And then going into Game 6 and 7, they then adapted and took out 2 of their grittier, heavier guys and injected more speed and skill. And so I think my conviction that in terms of the vision has not been shaken at all. I do think that, like any team, I think as our guys get older and bigger and stronger, they're going to naturally become heavier and grittier, and as they accrue these scars and scar tissue from these experiences like this, I think that directly impacts them in terms of their mentally, the way they deal with it. I thought our players throughout the year, and even in the series, did a great job of, when things weren't going well, being able to dig in and push back. Like in Game 6 here, we didn't play well for 30 minutes. Then the third, we were able to push back again. Game 7 they're up 2 goals, and we stem the tide and we start driving play their way, almost tie the game. So I think we're seeing steps. It's not I wish there was a flip we could switch to naturally get there, but it's only going to come through experience. But that's how I view it.
I'll take 2 questions. Kyle, 3 years in a row you lose in the first round, and if there's any similarity in those 3 years, in all 3 series you lost the special teams battle. Is there something from a player point of view, a coaching point of view, or a managing point of view that can fix that problem?
Well, I think from a management point of view, certainly. I think I can do a better job in arming our roster and arming our coaching staff, Steve, with players that can help us in each of those facets. I think the power play, our power play has been very good in each of the regular seasons that I've been here and produced in the playoffs. I think we want to see it continue to improve and adapt with the talent we have, and knowing the job that Jim does on it. I've got a lot of faith there. I think the penalty kill, I think the blame should go to me for the penalty kill, because I think I could have done a better job in finding guys that could provide depth to help the coaches in that regard. So I think if there's blame to go around for that, it should go to me.
Last question. Kyle, to that end, is there one position or one style of play that you think you can address or be better at to take that next step that you've come so close to taking?
It's interesting because you look at teams. It's something I've thought a lot about since we've been eliminated on Tuesday night, Mike. And you look at these teams that suddenly break through, and think like Washington a year ago, and it was what people commonly say, well, that was their other teams were so much more talented. And then you see Chicago, they break through from the very beginning. And I wish there were a formula and a way to know exactly what position or what it may be. I think the best thing to do from my perspective is I know that I have to do a better job, and that continue to improve and help our players and our group. And that's really all that I can commit to. And I think we'll take some time here rather than be rash and analyze everything and then honestly say, here's where I think our team can improve around the fringes, those extra 1 or 2% that we can improve upon, and then go about addressing that and hopefully a different, meet under a different set of circumstances, probably about 13 months from now or more, we hope. Thanks everybody. And just from my end of it, thank you all for the whole season. I know this is a market that craves a lot from you all as it does from us, and I just think that the professionalism and the way that you all handle your job has been outstanding and made life relatively easy on us. But so thank you very much.